So I'm going to be briefly talking about the open source software movement. So the open source software movement is a movement that supports the use of open source licenses for all or for some or all software. A part of the broader notion of open collaboration, the open source movement was started to spread the concept slash idea of open source software. Programmers who support the open source movement philosophy contribute to the open source community by voluntarily writing and exchanging programming code for software development. Okay, so I want to bring this up specifically to say this. There is the open source movement, right? So people who are like, oh yeah, we should have open source. Open source does not necessarily mean that if there's a program that is open source, it's better than closed source for privacy and security, absolutely. But that still doesn't mean that it's not a bunch of spyware, that it's not going to spy on you, that it's not going to be a virus, that it's not going to be anything. Just because it's open source does not it's not a stamp or a seal of approval that this is okay for privacy and security. The privacy and security is the entire reason I moved to Linux, right? Um, so when you have open source software, right, that does not stop it from being spyware. That does not. Just because you can look at 90% of the open code does not, or 99.99999% of the open code, right? One line of code, one line of malicious code can destroy all the security and all the privacy of the program. So just because it's open source does not mean it's not spyware, and that's what I want to bring up with the open source software movement. Is that this is good, but this is not enough.